the witnesses have returned. The gentleman from Illinois, Representative Quigley, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for those who are involved today. I guess at this point, perhaps it's helpful to put some of this in perspective and to ask a question on the overall issue of safety. I serve on the House Select Committee on Intelligence, and we were often briefed on climate change as a threat to our national security. The Pentagon refers to climate change as a, quote, threat multiplier. In recent reports from the Department of Homeland Security, the intelligence community, the National Security Council, and the Armed Services outline the emerging threat of climate change and its ability to wreak havoc, economic havoc, and destabilization in regions, initiate and fuel conflicts, and help foment violence. The hearing today has helped document a long-standing and concerted effort to muddy the scientific waters on the threat of climate change and pointed work to prevent any substantive action to prevent it. Not the least of which was Exxon's internal reports confirmed human global caused warming. Publicly, it took the opposite view, and a 2017 study of Exxon's communications concluding that the company systematically misled 9 scientific audiences about climate change. But I think the person who put that all best, Dr. Rod Schoonover, he served a decade for the U.S. intelligence community as senior analyst and senior scientist in the Bureau of Intelligence and Research at the U.S. Department of State as a director of environment and natural resources. He said, and I quote, "If climate change poses a risk to national security, as the Pentagon and intelligence community again reminded us last week, shouldn't we view climate disinformation through the same lens as well?" I think those before us today have to ask themselves, as this investigation goes forward, we need to put it under that prism. Let me make the second point, and that is to remind ourselves of the risk and danger involved in these operations. I guess I'd be remiss not talking about a location literally in my backyard in Whiting, Indiana, the Whiting refinery, that is. One of the largest refineries in the U.S. and its operator, BP. In 1991, the residents of East Chicago noticed oil oozing into their basements. A subterranean spill of 400,000 barrels of oil was discovered in the water table soon thereafter. In 2012, BP had to pay an $8 million penalty and spend $400 million on pollution controls due to the emissions from the Whiting BP. In 2014, Whiting discharged a slug of crude oil into Lake Michigan, close to where children swim and wildlife live. This occurred merely 3 weeks after BP announced it would double its processing of crude at the Whiting facility. Earlier this year, District Court judge ruled that BP repeatedly violated limits on emissions, specifically particulate air emission. Between 2015 and 18, they conducted 9 emission tests and failed all 9, demonstrating that Whiting was spewing soot into the Chicagoland area. Mr. Lawler, what are BP's plans for addressing the health effects of its presence in communities like where the Whiting refinery is located?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. So, I'm aware of the incidents that have occurred at Whiting over time. And what I can share with you is that we take the safety of the community and the safety of our employees very important, and that includes the safety of the water and the air that's in the area. What I can say is that we are dedicating resources to correct any deficiencies at the Whiting refinery that we find. As you know, the industry is focused on this. We're focused on it, and it is one of our largest refineries in the United States. And the commitment that we have is to lower emissions at the refinery over time and to protect all the individuals that work in and around the refinery.
I think given the limited time we have, what makes sense is if you could submit to the committee the improvements that you deem necessary, where you are in the timeline to make those improvements, and when you expect those to be completed, if you would commit to that, please.
Yes, we will follow up with the actions that we're taking.
Thank you. I yield back.